Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, honoring Arbor Day on April 26th, with an ongoing commitment to sustainable stewardship and conservation of Missouri's forests. ChooseWood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
So the actor who's going to be playing this lead part, this is somebody that you kind of plucked brand new, because nobody can do this twice.
Plucked brand new, Libby Pedersen, who is the executive director and founder of Ignite Theater Company. I called and said, would you be interested in this? And she said, I needed something that was going to terrify me for the month of March. So yes, of course. One artist was laying on the ground at the end of the performance weeping, and the next artist was giggling profusely at the end of it. So it just is really about who's in the space and meeting the work.
I'm Sarah Fensky. Next weekend, a very unusual play comes to St. Louis, and not just St. Louis. The one-off production of White Rabbit, Red Rabbit at the Schlafly Tap Room is part of a global celebration. It's being mounted by the St. Louis Fringe Festival, and earlier this week I got the scoop on how and why from the Fringe Festival's president and artistic director, Matthew Kerns. I started by asking Matthew, what makes White Rabbit, Red Rabbit so unique?
This play is fascinating and unique because Nassim Soleimanpour, who is an Iranian playwright, is not allowed to leave his country. There is required military service there, and he refused to do it, so they will not give him a passport. So the play has traveled globally around the world, speaking for him because he can't be there himself in person.
Wow, that's a crazy backstory right there. And I understand the play is absurdist, even in and of itself. What's the concept of this play that makes it so unusual?
So the interesting thing about it is there is no director, there is no set, there is no rehearsal, and it's a new actor every night. And the actor's only allowed to do it once in their lifetime. And once they've done it, if they're put in a database, they can never do it again. And they're handed the script on stage in a sealed envelope in front of the audience that they'll perform in. They open up the script and they perform, and then they're done.
So it sounds like this would be fascinating to watch. Is there deeper meaning in the idea that the lead actor is sort of being compelled to act in this thing without a director, without being familiar with the script first?
I think the idea that I've come to understand about it is that the author's voice, the playwright's voice, is so much more present because the material is raw for everyone in the space, including the person performing it.
So it keeps that playwright, and again, this is a playwright with a really sort of harrowing personal story. It keeps his words front and center.
Totally. And I've seen it now a few times because we did it last summer as our headline act for the festival, and we're reprising it coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I've seen it be completely different with different actors every night and so powerful in so many different ways with each performer.
So, yeah, this had its St. Louis premiere last summer. This was part of the St. Louis Fringe Festival. What was the audience's response to the performances there?
Blown away, intrigued, thrilled, crying, cheering, and the same with the artists. One artist was laying on the ground at the end of the performance weeping, and the next artist was giggling profusely at the end of it. So it just is really about who's in the space and meeting the work.
So this is now coming back to St. Louis for this one-off performance at the Schlafly Tap Room. So the actor who's going to be playing this lead part, this is somebody that you kind of plucked brand new because nobody can do this twice.
Plucked brand new, Libby Pedersen, who is the executive director and founder of Ignite Theater Company. I called and said, would you be interested in this? And she said, I needed something that was going to terrify me for the month of March. So yes, of course.
That's a great approval right there. And so this performance that is happening at the Schlafly Tap Room, this isn't just happening in St. Louis. How does this fit into a national effort?
This is what's so exciting is it's a global effort, and the global effort is called Let There Be Theater Day, and at 2 o'clock around the world on March 13th, companies will be performing White Rabbit, Red Rabbit as a commemoration of the return of live theater that happened last year after a year of it being shut down. And the belief that Nassim has created with this is that we should all celebrate the live art form of performance, and we should always remember to never take for granted the magic of the arts gathering us, mass gathering us underneath the umbrella of performance. Boy, that answer sounded crazy and terrible.
We are with you. You are giving us a persuasive argument here. So this is sort of the second annual version of this. What's the significance of it happening on March 13th as a date?
So the significance of it happening on March 13th is around March 13th is where theaters started shutting down across the world.
In 2020.
In 2020. And so this is really the celebration of live performance and art coming back and being able to sit together in a room and never taking that for granted because it's magical.
And so this happened for the first time in 2021, the 1-year anniversary of theater shutting down. And I think so many of us had high hopes that 2021 would be the year the pandemic was over. We were all going to get back to normal. We could all get back to the theater. And I know for you at the St. Louis Fringe Festival, you guys were all virtual in 2020. You ended up having to do a hybrid in 2021. People weren't fully ready to get back in those seats. Do you think this is the year that theater truly comes back in person?
Well, I can tell you that this year we've had more applications, historic record-breaking numbers of applications to participate live in the festival for 2022. And I think people are ready. So, and not to say that the virtual performative arts aren't going to be there. They'll always be a part of our world because that's a medium that some artists have said, wow, I found this, I love it, and I'm staying here. And we want to give them opportunity to make that work too. So we'll have a hybrid space, but we'll also have a number of live performance venues across the festival in August.
And so even though it will be hybrid, there will be a lot more in person this year than what you did last year.
Oh my gosh, so many cool things. The Dotsec Theater will be our flagship. The Schlafly Tap Room is going to be the home of the New Music Stage, a 6-day music festival inside of the St. Louis Fringe Festival, and a few other venues as well.
Well, this is something to look forward to in August. But in the meantime, people can be part of this. This is happening March 13th at 2 p.m. It's happening around the globe right at 2 p.m. in whatever time zone they're in. I'm assuming how they're making that work, Matt?
In whatever time zone they're in at 2 o'clock, it will be a global initiative to celebrate theater.
And so if people want to come to this at the Schlafly Tap Room, should they get tickets ahead of time?
It would be great if they get tickets ahead of time at stlfringe.org. And there's a ticket link right there on the front page. And if I could just say thanks one more time to Caselli Worsh for helping us make this possible.
And that is a law firm in town involved with a lot of good causes. They're the sponsor of this event?
They are, along with our friends at the Tap Room.
So this is being sponsored by that law firm. What's their interest in White Rabbit, Red Rabbit?
So Javad and Jim are really committed to immigration law and helping people who need help in the space of immigration. And so when I came across the show and we were going to do it again, I called them and said, you guys, I've got this story and I think it matches up with the stories and the people that you're trying to support too.
So that is the backstory on why Caselli Worsh is a part of this performance at the Schlafly Tap Room. And Matthew Kerns is the president and artistic director of the St. Louis Fringe Festival. Matthew, thanks again.
Thank you.
This episode was produced by Sarah Fensky and Kayla Drake, with audio engineering by Aaron Dorr. Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, honoring Arbor Day on April 26th with an ongoing commitment to sustainable stewardship and conservation of Missouri's forests. ChooseWood.com.